Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to say no in relationships and set healthy boundaries for thriving relationships. In today's session, we have Sheryl Green, and she's the expert in how to say no in relationships so that you can have win-win relationships that work for you in business and in life. And she has taken people-pleasing to Olympic levels for decades until she realized that she needed to put herself first. And then after committing to too many responsibilities, Sheryl discovered the importance of boundaries. And she discovered that boundaries were even a thing. And she's the how to say no expert working with individuals and organizations to establish healthy boundaries to improve relationships, communication, and well-being. She has a master's degree in forensic psychology and is the author of 7 books, including You Had Me at No, How Setting Healthy Boundaries Helps You Banish Burnout, Repair Relationships, and Save Your Sanity. So the first question is, what is the secret to your success?
Boundaries. After 40 something years of having really unhealthy boundaries, if any at all, I went through a really, really dark period, and I was just overwhelmed and doing too much for everybody and trying to be everyone to trying to be everything to everyone. There we go. And I hit a brick wall. I just couldn't even function anymore. And I actually had a moment where I contemplated suicide. It was just this extremely low point in my life. And but with many low points, it gave me the opportunity to learn and to grow and to realize that boundaries were an essential part of life and of business. And they were really, or lack thereof, was the problem I'd had my entire life. So I implemented them. I learned, I practiced, and I'm still practicing. It's a journey. But including boundaries in my life and learning how to set them and communicate them has really made all the difference.
Thank you. And how can entrepreneurs set healthy boundaries for thriving relationships?
Yeah, so the first thing to realize is that boundaries are not something you do to people. They're not this negative thing where you're kind of thumbing your nose at people and saying, I'm not going to help you anymore. I'm not going to do things for you anymore. I'm not going to provide the services that I've promised to provide. It's not like that. Healthy boundaries is really knowing the limitations of not your ability, but your time, your energy, your finances, and saying, when I know what I can handle, and when I only agree to what I can handle, it actually improves relationships. And that's on the personal front, on the professional front. When you think about it, if a friend or a client, or not a client, but a service provider offers to do something, they agree to do something for you, and then they don't come through. Well, now you're in a pinch, you're in a bad situation. They have actually damaged their brand, whether it's personal or a professional brand. And now you're going to have a hard time trusting them in the future, relying on them in the future. And it damages relationships. Again, whether that's on the personal side or the professional side. When you realize this is what I can do, and you only agree to what you can do, you actually build that brand, you build respect from people, you earn more respect from people, and you create a better relationship with them.
Thank you. And how can entrepreneurs stop making mistakes when setting healthy boundaries?
Well, I mean, it depends on the mistakes, but I would say the number one thing is just recognizing it and learning from it. As I said, this is a journey. You don't just wake up after 30, 40, 50 plus years of not having healthy boundaries. You don't just wake up one day and go, I'm fixed, I'm wonderful, I've got this. It is a process, and a lot of it is looking at the past. And I like to call that rear view mirror work, where you're going through the experiences in your past, and something's going to stand out as having happened that you're like, ooh, that didn't feel so good. I don't like how that turned out. I don't like the outcome. And when you look at it, there's usually a boundary violation there. So when I say boundary violation, we have to take full responsibility for ourselves here. No one did that to you. You allowed that to happen. Okay, so whatever it is, maybe somebody took advantage of your time, and expected too much of you. Well, we allowed that. Okay, we allowed that to happen. So we look at that in the past and we say, all right, I don't like how that turned out. So let me try something different. Okay, let me learn from this experience, do a different behavior, do a different action, and let's see what the outcome is there. So recognizing it, figuring out where that boundary violation was, setting a new boundary, and doing it differently.
Thank you. And how do you handle this new relationship that you're going to create with your community or your network, considering, let's say you've always been a people pleaser, and all of a sudden you have to start putting these new boundaries that people are not expecting. So how do you handle that?
So I actually love, and I think it's a Chinese proverb that says the best day to plant a seed was 20 years ago. The next best day is today. And I think about that in boundary terms, because really the best time to set a boundary was at the beginning of a relationship, right? Coming into a working relationship, a romantic relationship, a friend, whatever it is, to be able to say, these are my needs, these are my expectations, this is what I won't stand for, nicely, of course. But to be able to say that in the beginning, definitely the best bet. However, that doesn't mean that just because we've been in a relationship, whatever that is, with someone for a time period, doesn't mean we can't set boundaries moving forward. So communication is really the key to all of this. And it's first looking inward and figuring out, what is it that I want? What do I expect? What do I need? And then communicating it, and then saying, hey, I know it's always been this way. Just so you know, I need to protect my mental health, or things are getting busier at work, or I'm in a new relationship and I have to dedicate time to that. Whatever your reasoning is, you're creating a new starting point and saying, yes, it's always been this way, and going forward, it's going to be different.
It sounds really great to do that. Having said that, I find that in relationships where you've been a pushover for a really long time, where you promised X and you delivered 1,000 times more, and then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, I don't have so much time to do that, I don't have this ability to do that anymore, there's inevitably going to be a lot of disappointment from the other party, and relationships could be finished forever. So how do you make sure this doesn't happen and it can continue to turn into a thriving relationships on both parties?
Yeah, so there's usually going to be one of three outcomes. When you begin setting boundaries in your life, you're going to have the people that are right away on board. They're like, they're proud of you. They figured out, that she figured out boundaries. Good job, and they're going to jump right on board. They've been waiting for it. They're supporting you. They're 100% like, I got you. Congratulations. That's a very small percentage of the population. The larger percentage is going to be the people who say, oh, well, wait a second. You always did this for me and now you're not. And I don't like change. And that doesn't feel so good. And maybe they'll push back a little bit. Maybe they'll be a little bit hurt or a little bit offended. But eventually, as long as you are consistent with your answer, they're going to jump on board. They care about you. They love you. They're either, a close family or friend that truly cares about your well-being. They're a client or a coworker that appreciates you. Okay, so you've got, that's kind of the larger segment of the population. And then you have the third type, and those people are not going to accept the new you. They're going to push, they're going to try and manipulate, they're going to throw the adult version of a temper tantrum. They're going to do everything they can in their power to get you to kind of renege on your new boundaries and to go back to the old you. You could, but you shouldn't. Don't do that. These people are either going to step out of your life, or you're going to make the decision to push them out. And sometimes that looks like we no longer have a relationship, we're done. Sometimes that just looks like you no longer have the access to me that you used to. And, think about it from like a parent standpoint. There's boundary issues all the time with our parents, no matter how old we are. You may not want to completely give up on a relationship with your mom or your dad, but maybe you're going to tell them less. Maybe you're going to talk to them a little bit less. You're just going to change that access. Because if people don't respect your boundaries, they don't respect you, and they don't really deserve to be in your life.
Thank you so much. So tell us about what brought this awakening of the art of saying no for you, and how did that change your entire business?
Yeah, so it was about 2 years, 2.5, almost 3 years now that I hit that overwhelmed point, that burnout, that I'm just done with everything. And I started feeling resentful of everything in my life. My job, which I loved at the time, I was working in an animal rescue. My parents, who I love very dearly, everybody was just a drain on my time. They just all wanted energy I didn't have. And when I hit my rock bottom, I chose to take a month off. I cleared my plate of all non-essential things. If it was not absolutely required, I was not doing it. And I just focused in on my mental health. And I got past that hump. I got over that really difficult, crying constantly period. But I noticed a couple of months in that my plate was starting to fill back up. And all those non-essential things, they were back. There was more of them. I was serving on boards, volunteering, taking care of these people, doing this for everyone. And that was when I had that realization, like, wow, I don't have any boundaries. I don't know how to say no. And because of that, I'm allowing my life and my schedule to be taken over. And it took some time. I had a friend who actually asked me to be the incoming president for our local speakers chapter. And I knew I shouldn't do it. I knew it wasn't the time. I was planning for a wedding at this point. I just knew that I shouldn't say yes. But I didn't want to disappoint her. And really good friend of mine. And eventually I gave her the yes. And the moment I did, I regretted it. I just felt every cell in my body going like, what are you doing? And I spoke to my soon-to-be husband. I spoke to some friends. I spoke to a mentor and realized that I couldn't do it. I just couldn't serve the chapter the way it deserved to be served. And I couldn't handle the responsibility at that moment in time. And that was kind of the kickoff, like, okay, I'm not the only person out there that has issues with boundaries. I can't be. So I decided to, in the process of my journey and learning everything I needed to, I decided to write a book and help other people along this journey as well. And it's completely changed my business. I mean, I was speaking about storytelling before all of this happened, and now I'm empowering people to set healthy boundaries and say yes when they want to and no when they want to. So completely changed, but it's really changed how I look at the world, and it gets a lot easier and a lot less frustrating when you see boundaries for what they are, and you not only set them for yourself, but you respect them in other people.
What about when the problem isn't other people asking you for stuff, but you putting yourself forward for stuff?
Yeah. So we, some of us just love to be martyrs. We absolutely do. We're very excited to be everything to everyone. And, that comes down to self-worth. And it comes down to, I know I grew up with the messaging that my worth was derived from what I did for other people. And I came out of this with just a kicking issue with codependency. If I wasn't taking care of people, why was I even here? Kind of thing. And a lot of people face that, where they don't feel like they have value unless they're doing everything for everyone, unless they're jumping at all the opportunities. If they're, volunteering for everything, and yes, I'll take that on. And, oh, you're having a problem with your project, let me help you. And one, it's self-worth, and two, I've found, myself included, it's just easier to focus on other people's problems and fixing other people's problems, because then we don't have time to look at our own. So for people that are jumping to do absolutely everything, I would say, look, if your cup is full and you are able to and happy to, and you have all the resources you need, and you feel no resentment, you're doing it out of pure joy, do it. Awesome. The world goes around because people do for others. But if you are feeling that resentment, if you are feeling that burnout, it's time to look at what's actually causing you to jump at these, again, opportunities.
Thank you so much. And what is your message to the world?
You have the right and the responsibility to set boundaries. Many of us were brought up in environments where it wasn't talked about, it wasn't known about, or it wasn't allowed to set boundaries. And I want people to know that not only do you have that right to set boundaries, but it's actually a responsibility. And when you set them, when you create healthy boundaries around yourself, you actually lift everyone else up, because it gives others permission to set boundaries as well.
Thank you so much, Sheryl. And hope that a lot more of us can set even healthier boundaries that can transform our lives and help us to create thriving relationships in business and in life.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential, so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.